And we are live. Still tweeting out the links. As soon as that's done, we'll get the show on the road. Okay, cool. Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm the substitute host for today, Adam, and introducing the panel. I'll start off to the right. The first guest, of course, is the usual Zhilei. How you doing, Zhilei?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Excited to get into today's topic. Talk about Zhilei Zhang, the Big Bang.
Yeah, I can tell you're excited because it seems like you're still in your work clothes. So I admire the commitment. And below Jide, we have Marco, Mr. Mark. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on again. Like Zhilei said, man, I'm just excited to talk about Zhilei Zhang.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. And last but certainly not least, the star of the show today, Mr. Terry Lane. How's it going, Terry?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. Love Ringside Fracas and the support you've shown over the last year or so. So great to be back on, guys.
Amazing. I mean, thank you for coming on, first and foremost. Yeah, it's going to be a very positive episode because we have a lot to celebrate here. Of course, Zhilei Zhang coming off a possible career best win against the infamous Wilder. Personally, I think it's his best win in terms of name. What's the feeling around the camp? How is Team Zhang celebrating after that great night in Saudi?
Well, I wish I could say we all had a nice vacation and break, but we didn't. Zhilei went right to China. He has, a whole host of obligations to sponsors, and the media in China, which is totally different than the UK or US, are really paying attention right now. So you have the state-sanctioned news that never really gave a lot of love to boxing, but Zhang has definitely broken through as like a national hero. So he's getting just a ton of attention. He gets mobbed everywhere he goes. So he's there for a month, basically taking care of business. So no breaks for him, really. He doesn't have to work out in the gym, which is nice, but he gets to rest his body, but not he's up early to late. The rest of us came back to the States, and we're just kind of enjoying riding on cloud nine, man. We're still enjoying the high from that fight. It went the way we thought it was going to go. If I'm honest, Zhilei stuck to the game plan that Sean George, our trainer, put in play, and it went the way it went.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, it leads me to actually my first question. With that being such a great victory, in comparison to the last fight, I thought Zhang lost his last fight more due to himself. I didn't think Parker actually did enough. I thought it was a thing where you had the sense where Zhang could put away Parker at any time during that fight. He was the more accurate puncher. He had the more devastating power. But as we've seen sometimes before, it's a case of Zhang kind of tending to fade away during fights. And Parker just looked busier. I don't think he was doing much with his punches. I don't think he ever hurt Zhang. Zhang didn't ever look uncomfortable, sorry. But it was a case of him just throwing more punches and looking the busier man. This time round against Wilder, what I personally saw was a more economical performance where Zhang was really putting a lot of pressure with his foot pressure, closing down on the ring on Wilder, constantly keeping Wilder guessing. And you could tell that mental pressure was really taken away at Wilder. But then also finding his range and letting his hands go in spots where he cornered Wilder. Was this a strategy more from your guys' side where you're looking at Zhang's tendency to fade away in fights and his cardiovascular fitness and kind of playing to Zhang's strengths where you've taken in his strengths where he has impeccable timing, really good punch selection, very fast hand speed, like deceptively fast hand speed, and of course that knockout power, and devising a game plan around his strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
Or was it a case of looking at Wilder and seeing how Wilder has struggled on the back foot when fighting and devising a game plan that would beat Wilder? How did Team Zhang kind of look at that fight and matchup and go ahead with the strategy?
You know, it was more so the latter. It was really using Wilder against himself. It's frustrating because Zhilei, and I think I'm kind of frustrated for him because I've seen him go 12 rounds in sparring hard several times where he's doing damage and he's like not winded. And the Parker fight, I think you said it right. And I don't want to take anything away from Joseph Parker. So like I'm walking a fine line of like not wanting to take away who was the better man that night. But it wasn't so much that Parker beat Zhang, that Zhang just gave the fight away and didn't fight through rounds 9, 10, 11, 12. The last 4 rounds, he just like stopped fighting. He did think he had a wide lead. He thought, I had the 2 knockdowns, I've won some rounds. I'm good. I'm just going to like chill. That was not right. Obviously, I mean, I think he could have won the fight had he thrown like 10 more punches over the course of those 4 rounds. He was heavier. That's no doubt about that. So he did lose. He was 10 pounds lighter on the scale. And that was like after him like eating a huge meal that I saw him eat, before weighing in for the Wilder fight. But Zhilei's hand speed doesn't, I don't want to give anything away. Zhilei's hand speed doesn't get enough credit. What he lacks, if he's not a 10 out of 10 in speed, his timing on his punches make up for that. That's why he gets guys hurt. And that little check hook, it's going to hurt people. I will say this too, Zhang's, and I don't want to say this again because it's not going to get us the fights that we want, but he took 2 shots from Wilder, really big shots to the right hand. His chin is good. But we're not we're not shooting to eat right hands from Deontay Wilder, but it was really more about Deontay kind of doing this thing where he kind of lures you in, but Zhilei cutting off the ring. I rewatched the fight 2 nights ago. The feinting, cutting off the ring while feinting was a huge part of this. And I looked at some of the comments later. I wasn't following on Twitter during the fight, but people were kind of talking about how it was a boring fight. I didn't see that, but I mean, I'm biased. So Zhilei was like cutting off the ring and then he was unloading before he was, Wilder was clinching and he was getting his shots in there, but it really kind of, again, it sounds super cocky, but it was a matter of time before just one of these check hooks or left hands landed. And, Deontay we didn't think he had the best of chins, and he might be on the slide. That's not for me or anybody really to decide. It's kind of up for him and his family and his team to talk about. But it was just a matter of time before the right shot landed, and it did land. He caught him with that check hook right on the kisser. It just buzzed Deontay. He did this kind of spin, and then Zhilei does have the killer instinct where he knew discretion and throw another right and finish him off.
Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I think the check right hook. Personally, I feel like it was a plan from your team, from the trainer, especially because before the fight, I watched the Luis Ortiz fight. It was the check right hook that hurt Wilder in that fight as well. He's very susceptible when he leans in with his right, or Wilder tries to set you up and leans in with his right hand because he doesn't jab, he doesn't set up his shots, tries to lure you in, like you said, and then just launches that right hand as hard as he can. And I remember in the second round, Zhilei caught him with a check right hook as well in that similar sort of sequence. And then Wilder got a bit more tentative for the next few rounds. And then in the 5th round, he got a bit braver. And that's when he was throwing his right hand. And again, Zhilei timed him and landed that right hook. I've always said like the Zhang and Wilder fight, because both fighters are quite economical with their punches, while Zhilei is more like savvy and is more of a boxer and he's thinking and he's trying to set traps for you. Wilder is just more, I'm just going to throw when I think I should throw, and I'm going to land a big one and you're going to go to sleep. So people that were saying that fight was close or 50-50, this is not me being anti-Wilder. I just never saw it close. I never, ever saw that fight close. I knew what was going to happen. And obviously, because of the Joshua fight, people wanted Wilder to win and whatever. So in terms of like going forward, who does Zhilei want to fight next? Who is he targeting?
Well, listen, I mean, I wish look, he wants Joshua and Fury and Usyk. I mean, he wants to be a champion, but all those guys are tied up. I would be very surprised if they don't finalize Joshua and Dubois. Anything could happen. My phone could ring right now and it could be like, hey, something fell apart. What do you think? That could happen, but I'd be very surprised if Dubois and AJ doesn't get made. And of course, we have the rematch in December with Usyk and Fury. So what is there? Zhilei really wants the rematch with Parker. He felt he gave that fight away. He wants that to avenge that loss. That's possible. I cannot say at this point we've had any meaningful discussions about when or where that fight could take place, or even if, I don't know what Parker's got going on, but I know that Queensberry and George Warren and the Warrens and the team there are, the best in the business, I think. And they're, we'll be talking probably by the end of the week to get an update. There is a lot of interest in bringing a big fight to China, which would be very historic. I mean, boxing in China exists, but not on this scale. Yeah. So this would be a historic fight. But also, the Saudis are treating everybody really well, and every time we go there, we enjoy it more and more. And I think Turki Al-Sheikh has taken a liking to Zhilei, His Excellency, and so we could be looking to go back there in the fall. Ajit Kabayel has entered the chat. I mean, here's a guy just like Zhilei, took fights that nobody wanted to take. Magmadov and Sanchez, no one wanted those fights, just like no one wanted to fight Hrgovic and no one wanted to fight Joe Joyce. And so you have these two guys that have just been waiting for their opportunity to now show their stuff, and thank God for the platform that the Saudis and Sela and Turki Al-Sheikh are giving for guys like this who really want to take the tough fights, show their stuff. So I mean, look, we would love to fight AJ. It would be even better if it was for a world title. That's what we want. But I don't know. Part of me is concerned if I'm even looking into 2025. I think people are trying to. I don't know, how do I say this? It's been said to me by credible people that interested parties want to preserve AJ versus Fury. It's a massive fight. It's one of the biggest fights that can be made in boxing. I'm a fan, but I also got to represent my guy. I think my guy has earned a shot too. And frankly, he's popular in the UK or anywhere you put him now. He's broken through. He's earned a shot. And so we and it's even more interesting. Let's say Usyk beats Fury again, and now he might go down to cruiserweight. He says it's tough for him to eat the calories to stay up at heavyweight. So he might the belts might scatter like that. And it's going to be really interesting 2025. So it's just a kind of about staying in the mix. It's like I always use this, shut me up for saying this like for the 1,000th time, but it's a game of musical chairs and you don't want to be the last one standing. So look, Zhilei's got options of where he can fight. Not so many options of who would make sense for him to fight, but we're going to figure something out. We're going to see. But look, boxing never happens to plans, and injuries happen in sparring, injuries happen in training. People can't take certain fights for whatever reason. Things get messy. So it's kind of like, where can we emerge and take an opportunity that we don't even see coming yet? But look, it's the mega fights that we want, that he wants. I think he's earned it. And, that's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't plan for a loss, but was there ever sort of like a feeling or like a pressure where if a loss did ever occur, you would like fall into sort of like the Who Needs Me club?
Look, I mean, we don't talk about loss. I mean, we know it. It's in the back of our minds, but we don't want to put it in the front of our minds. We did, it's like, if he were to lose, I mean, look, he would be a 41-year-old guy coming off a loss. And in boxing, like, how does a loss happen? Is it does he get starched and sparked out in 30 seconds, or is it like a World War III over 12 rounds and like people just want to see like an amazing rematch against whomever? But I mean, look, he could be in the okay, is he a high-profile opponent? I mean, stuff like that does happen, but then he could have the chance to get right big in there if he took a fight that no one wanted to take, and then won. So it's so hard to like think about these scenarios. We think about them, we talk about them a little bit, but really we felt pretty good. I mean, Jade was talking about, the fight being kind of perceived as a 50-50 fight. Well, that just helped us with the bet payouts that we all made, because like that's what the Vegas odds had. So we at no point ever thought this was going to be a 50-50 fight, but we also thought Parker was going to be a little bit of an easier fight for Zhilei as well. So I think the Parker loss had, I got to say something about that. I've never seen this happen, especially with heavyweight boxing. We got offered the Wilder fight walking off the steps after losing to Parker. Our attorney got pulled aside. I've never seen this happen. I think there might have been some plans to have this 5 versus 5 thing and possibly have Zhilei and Wilder matched up anyway. But like, I've never just been like, hey, here's the range of the money. Wilder, June 1st. What do you guys think? And we're just like excited for that, but we're also like bummed out because we just didn't get our hand raised for the fight.
Yeah.
So I've never seen that. But like that's just the Saudis are not taking their feet off the gas pedal here. Another thing too, I want to point out, I tweeted about this, but like in 22 months, Zhilei fought Hrgovic, Joyce, Parker, and Wilder. Put the results aside for a second. There's no heavyweight that has a resume like that. And when I put that out there on Twitter, people are like, oh, well, Usyk. Yes, of course, Usyk is the absolute king right now, not taking anything away from him. But in that time frame, he had 3 fights. We had 2 other fights. That's unheard of in modern heavyweight boxing. And I just want to give my guy his flowers just for being active, being a big guy and being active, and taking fights that, like, I mean, that's murderer's row of heavyweight division. No one wants to take those guys. And he did, and he stepped up, and that's why we're talking right now.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, the funny thing is even with the losses, I personally thought Zhang won the Hrgovic fight. I thought he was wrong done by. And with the Parker loss, as we said before, it was more of Zhang's doing as opposed to Parker being brilliant on the night. That's my personal opinion. To kind of go over that loss a bit more, I mean, as you just mentioned right now, you're bummed out that you lost to Parker, but you just had the offer for the Wilder fight right away. So
right away,
I don't see that usually happening in boxing that often. One question I wanted to ask, though, I mean, it's clear that the weight didn't help Zhang during that Parker fight, where he come in at a career heaviest, I believe, at
291, something like that.
Yeah, 291 pounds. Was that a case of, was that part of the strategy going into the fight, or was it a case where the camp kind of took their foot off the gas a bit for the preparation of that fight?
Well, I mean, according to Zhilei, he did not feel like the weight affected him in a bad way. He did not feel, and this is according to him, gassed at the end of the fight. He just kind of was like, I froze. I didn't think I had to fight, and I just stopped fighting. And I was going to coast to a decision. But obviously, you could see the difference in the 10 pounds. I mean, like you could physically see how he looked better this last time. And I mean, on such a big guy, you don't think 10 pounds is going to make that much difference. And actually, he tipped the scales and towards the end of this camp in the high 270s, which that's pretty low for him. We brought in, I don't know how publicized this was, but we brought in Chris Algieri to just work on his diet. He had never had any, we've had different strength and conditioning coaches. We've had different, people like always offering their 2 cents of this and that. And everybody's a genius and everybody knows everything, right? But we actually reached out to Chris and said, hey, look, we don't want to reinvent the wheel here, but can we make some adjustments in his diet and what the goal was not to lose weight. The goal was just to get him the nutrients to maybe get 2 more better rounds out of it. I mean, at this level, the slightest incremental differences can mean the world. So Chris totally agreed, gave us some great just plans, checked in with us every week. And so getting back to your question, I do think that we should have been more on top of the diet and the nutritional stuff way earlier. I mean, it's amazing we had the Joyce fights and the Hrgovic fights without really much any guidance other than I'm going to try to eat healthy. I think I know what that is. To Chris going no, we're going to do more of this, less of this. Actually, he had to eat more calories, but different type of calories, different macros. So look, we just, again, that loss, the silver lining was with the Parker loss is we reevaluated everything. And at this level, with a 41-year-old, you don't want to change everything because that could have a terrible backfiring aspect. It's like what are incremental improvements we could make to get the most out of Zhang Zhilei? And that's what we did. So it was more of just maybe taking our eye off the ball a little bit for the Parker fight, but totally refocusing. And again, with this Wilder fight, we did not have what I would call a good camp. I mean, we have to say that in the build up to the fight, like, oh, it's the best camp ever, whatever. We have to say that, build it up. But he, because of his visa restrictions, offered the Wilder fight the night of Parker loss. He's got to go to Bangkok to get a visa to go back to the States. Then he's got obligations in China. All of a sudden, they need to film that wild commercial for the 5 versus 5. They got to send him to the UK, but he can't go back to the US because he can't then come back to the UK for the press conference. So he had 3 weeks in the UK, for, I don't know, do you guys know this? His first 3 weeks of camp were in the UK, and like Queensberry took great care of him, but he did not have the sparring he wanted. He was not at his home bed. He was in a hotel room. He was, taking a taxi out to the gym that was like outside of London up at Epping Forest, that was like, an hour away each way. And then he had to stay there to do the press conference, comes back to the States, all still turned around from his sleep, 5 weeks only here before he's back in Riyadh. Like things were like this. He had no rest at all, zero rest. So it even makes me more proud. And like with this fight, whatever's next, a little bit of rest is good and welcome after the activity he's had, but like he can actually like get properly rested up and get ready for that next one, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So with the rest, I presume maybe that potential Wembley card in September might be too soon for Zhang. Would that be something that piques you guys' interest at all? Or
if they called and said AJ needs a dance partner, we'd say yes before they could get the sentence out of their mouth. We would do September 20th. Is it 20th or 21st? Have they decided that yet?
21st, I believe. I think I'm not sure, to be honest. But
it's one of those dates.
Yeah, I think we find out on June 25th. They're going to do a press conference about it.
Press conference, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
right now, so a couple of weeks. Yeah.
I think Parker versus Zhang rematch in China will be one of the biggest fights in that part of the world, and I feel like it will benefit both guys because they'll be around the same time zone, and I could imagine the Chinese government being really like putting a lot of money and effort behind that fight. In talking about that, how has boxing in China changed essentially? I'm not sure. I'm sure you go there a lot. Has there been a lot of like interest since the last few years, especially after Zhang knocked out Joyce, and now he's knocked out Wilder, the American hero, or
yeah.
So
the Chinese love that. They really did.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I bleed red, white, and blue, man. And like,
you must be so conflicted in this at times.
So conflicted, conflicted, man. Oh man.
How is that out there?
So I mean, the simple answer is Zhilei has elevated all of boxing in China. So we've got some partners there that are promoters, but like they're signing fighters now that are like exiting the amateur system, getting into the pros, which is, if you're a boxer in China, being on the national team and being an amateur is actually more like being a professional, where like you actually can get paid by the government and they want the gold medals and they want the amateur tournament accolades. But like now that they've taken a step back and seen what can happen on a global scale with what's happening with Zhilei, they're into it. I would like to think that Zhilei is almost like a trailblazer for boxing in China, and he's creating a business, an industry, opportunities for people. Some kid in, Xi'an province right now who's never put on a pair of boxing gloves might try a gym or might try it out, and it's just, you need those leaders in anything in life. But it's completely different after the Joe Joyce wins. Completely different. Let me tell you how big Zhilei is in China. Joe Joyce and Joe Parker are famous there. They could headline their own card there because people know them because of Zhilei, the fights with them. And it's just kind of that exposure to a massive amount of people. So look, I would love to do the Joe Parker fight in China. Give me a magic wand. If we can't have AJ or Fury next, that's what I would like to have happen. We're working towards that. It's so early in the process to say anything right now, but look, it could all happen very quickly.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, I was going to say, did you ever anticipate sort of Zhilei sort of being like a social media star, like with sort of like the way you've seen like his media, like his personality like blossom and whatnot?
You mean like the I bang everything, all that stuff?
Yeah. I bookmark every one of those videos on my TikTok and Instagram, by the way.
So it's kind of funny now when we do like the interviews, like for the fight week stuff. They tell them to say it because they're like, yeah, we get so much engagement in that, and it's kind of like, to us, it's like, okay, we'll play ball, we'll play team, But yeah, I did not see that coming, but still I don't have like TikTok in China, but it's called Douyin. It's the same thing, owned by the same company, looks the same. Yeah. But like Zhilei's hashtag of his name, so I don't know. He's got like about 90-something thousand followers on Instagram. It's like, that's cool. That's good. That's cool. But the engagement in China we're like talking in the hundreds of millions. And so like when I like think, I can't even wrap my brain around that. So when every time I get a good laugh out of something that happens here on like Instagram or, you know, Twitter or something like that, I think like, you don't even know what's going on in China. Like it's so much bigger even than that. So we spend a lot more time, or my teams spends a lot more time kind of focusing in on the Chinese social media platforms than the other stuff. But yeah, but I'm glad he has got a big personality. He's the friendliest guy. He's the nicest guy. He's a funny guy. I'm glad that's coming through a little bit.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, his speech after the Queensbury Matchroom event was iconic to me personally. I love it.
Totally. That was 1,000,000% him. No one told him to say a damn thing. Kurt, my translator, my partner over there, I was like, did you tell him to say that? Because I was like, I'm going to run through a wall right now. Like, this got my like heart pounding, man. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So, but no, that was just all him. And when he was like, today, I was like, oh my God, this is like a war speech. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But it was good.
You could tell it was organic. You could tell he was right in the right frame of mind and went ahead with it. It was amazing.
Totally.
Yeah, there needs to be more of those 5v5s. I feel like it's like boxing's version of the Davis Cup. If anyone like watches other sports, it's like
I gotta say, like being on the Queen's Teamsbury side, every fighter was into it. Like every fighter in their teams were like into the team concept. I didn't know how it was going to work, but like there really was this like, you know, let's beat the crap out of Eddie Hearn. Sorry, Edward John Hearn. I'm sorry, but like, dude, you got whipped. You got absolutely whipped. But I would love to see more of them. The problem with like two of the fighters weren't even matchroom fighters. Like Deontay wasn't, and Hrgovic wasn't. So I don't know, but like still there was that team mentality. Like really kind of. You almost had like and this is not me, I'm not getting in the ring taking punches, so take this with a huge grain of salt, but like it was kind of like, we need to win, not just for yourself. You're doing it for a greater cause. But man, I didn't even see the sweep coming. I didn't even see the sweep coming.
No, personally speaking, I didn't see the sweep. I don't think any of us did really.
I thought Ray Ford won. I thought Queensbury might have won it. Well, would win it from the start, but I thought at least maybe Ray Ford would have been one of the W's. But that was a close fight. I actually thought.
I talked to his coach after the fight. Actually, like they really thought they should have gone up to 30 after the last fight. He was kind of, I hope I'm not breaking any trust here, but like he was struggling to make weight the whole week, and like it had that not been the case, it probably would have gone the other way. But I mean, it was a close fight. Yeah.
I mean, I think there was word of him wanting to go up to 130 before that fight, but when Saudi comes knocking and they want you on one of their cards, you do what you got to do, I guess. So and at the end of the day, I think the great thing about Saudi coming into boxing is people are starting to forget about this whole having your O intact. People are losing fights now and still gaining fans. I mean, I could tell from Ray Ford being an American fighter, he wasn't that known around the British public much. But after that particular fight, it was an absolute war, and he's gained a lot of fans. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that take notice of him and are probably excited to watch his next fight. And I think that's probably the best thing about Saudi coming into boxing right now. It's like you don't have to remain undefeated. You just have to put on a good display, and the fights will keep coming. Yeah.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and that what I hope that does long term is have people less afraid about getting the O and, oh my God, like no one's going to care about me anymore. But like, no, even if you go out on your shield, like I mean, that people like seeing the heart, and boxing has gotten so wrong in the last few decades with this. And what Turki Al-Sheikh is doing, His Excellency, like he doesn't care, dude. Two guys who lost the same guy went on last. Like, you know what I mean? The tweet was, I had to laugh at it myself. Someone said, I love when Joe Parker's kids fight or something like that. And I had to laugh at that, but I thought, you know what? Who else is going to put this on? You know, who else? I mean, like, and it was a great opportunity for both guys, and it was a crossroads fight. And I think I don't have much to add. I think you're absolutely right about, do not care about the O. Like it doesn't mean everything by a long shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always about putting in a good performance, and that's like I said, I feel like the Saudis have ushered in. Hopefully, they stay for I don't know a good like maybe 5-6 years, but they could potentially usher in another golden age of boxing, because like you said, if you fight well, they will put you on the show. If you win or lose, you're gonna be on the show, and at the end of the day, it's prize fighting. Fighters are there to make money. So as you're seeing, Jared Anderson now is fighting. You have so many different. Like I'm really excited about him because I feel like I would love to see him versus Daniel Dubois going forward. I would love to see him come up the rankings, and maybe Zhilei picks up a title. Like I said, in 2025 when Usyk decides to go back to cruiserweight, maybe Zhilei picks up the WBO. AJ's got the IBF. Anderson picks up the WBA, and then we have like a round robin, a Super Six, quote unquote, of like all the champions. I could just imagine it, and it's just whetting my appetite. It would be so exciting.
Totally possible. I mean, and I gotta say, like from what I hear, and I'm hearing from good sources, like the Saudis are not slowing down. They're not slowing down. So we could see some really. It's an exciting time to be a boxing fan. It's great.
Yeah, long may it continue. Terry, so you're actually a very big Jared Anderson fan, if I'm correct, right?
I wait, was it? I gave him. I co-promoted a show with Top Rank in Reno, and he made his pro debut in the show. So got to know him a bit. I am a fan of it, Jared Anderson. I know he was calling us out like right away. August 3rd was too soon. I mean, it just wasn't possible. I don't know what else to say, but and sorry to interrupt, but from a U.S. perspective, I think you guys have the same thing in the UK. You kind of want to have your heavyweight. Like the torch had to be passed from Deontay to somebody else, and I think Jared is that guy. But Bacoli, that's going to be a great fight.
It's a very tough fight.
Secretly, I feel like Bacoli is a slight favorite for me, only because he's like 300 pounds, he's 6'6", and he throws deceptively like devastating punches. Like Jared Anderson will have to break his will, and I just don't know. I've seen that yet. For me, it's a great fight, but I feel like the underdog might be I might put a slight bit of change on Bacoli to win. I would like Jared Anderson to win because the heavyweight division will have another star in America, and when America's booming, it's booming all over that's just where it is. It's one of the
it's a tough one to call. It's a tough one to call. I mean, and I've seen some. I think everybody's seen some weaknesses in Anderson as well. I mean, any man can be beat. There's a way to beat every man. But I'm glad this is a great fight. It's a great fight.
Yeah.
Also, as well, we don't really need Bacoli telling us another heavyweight that he potentially supposedly beat up. I mean, he's beat up every heavyweight in sparring. Like we don't need another name. So
he's the undisputed sparring champion.
Yeah, exactly. Carrying on with the actual card, of course, Terry, you would have a better grip with what Americans are saying as opposed to us because we're based in the UK. How are American boxing fans taking to Saudi coming over and putting on a show on your turf, essentially?
I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about it so far. I mean, I think there have been some people in the UK media who have said like, they're taking big fights away from London, but they're going to put one in London too. So like this perspective on Riyadh season or whatever you want to call it. I mean, like I would like for them, and they very well may be involved in the Chinese fights as well in China. So, look, I just from a boxing perspective, I think anytime that there's like some good money being injected into boxing, that this money is behind good ideas and great cards, I just don't see how that could be a bad thing. I really don't. And I mean, people this business is a tough business. And when you have a chance to make a little money, when you've worked your butt off for these fighters, especially, it's a good thing, ultimately. And I kind of like that I mean, look at this card in LA. It's such a great card. It's amazing. As well as the London one will be as well, I'm sure. But like, I kind of like that. I'm not like anti the social media guys fighting. I like the Jake Pauls. Like I'm not a hater on that, but I love that this is happening with real fighters and real top guys getting paid big money. So I kind of like that the fact that this is starting to eclipse kind of that stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
That's just me being an old man. I don't know, but I mean,
no, it's not you being an old man.
I think it's for the benefit of boxing overall. So
we need, again, like you said, I'm not a hater. Like, do your thing. Anyone can get into boxing. It's a fan engagement sport. But if we want to get more guys to box, more serious contenders, we need the good cards. We need the guys fighting each other. And I know Oscar's a bit crazy saying he wants to do Top Rank versus Golden Boy and whatnot. But I just like the fact that the idea is now thrown in there. You have Bob Arum, Top Rank's not arguing. You have the networks. The Saudis have got the networks working together. It's just, it's brilliant. I feel like there's so much talent in America. Like Choo Choo, he's one guy from that. He looks really, really good. So
I was at his last fight. I was there. Yeah.
How is he live? Because I'm really excited.
I mean, like, first of all, he's from New York, so like he just got a huge pop. Like, it was just so fun watching him in person. He's great. He's great fun live. I mean, great action fighter, and I mean, then to be followed up by Xander, who also was on a pro debut years ago on one of my cards. It was just the energy at that small room in the garden was just like great. Yeah. But yeah, like now, like we can take these guys. I've even heard about the idea of the Saudis doing like a UK versus USA. I mean, that's awesome. That's fun. Yeah. You know, I mean, so look, good ideas are like, I can't tell you how many in my career in boxing, I got involved in like 2005, 2006. Like, so gosh, we're almost in the 20-year mark. And I've had so many meetings where these people, there are so many great ideas thrown around, but no one had the money. It's like to really, you'd have to have like serious cash to put these ideas in play. But now these guys in Saudi are like, they have the money and they could be like, hey, let's try this. Okay, didn't work. We'll do something different. This did work. 5 versus 5. Okay, now Golden Boy, Top Rank, they might do it because it worked out. It was fun. Another element, like, so yeah, it's just the right place, right time with the right guys having the money that are willing to put this money behind these really unique ideas that really haven't been seen in boxing ever before.
Yeah. No, I think the injection of these new ideas and the financial backing has changed the sport for the better, clearly. And we just hope that it continues. It seems like the Saudis are just getting started. So I think we do have very good, exciting few years going forward. It seems like everyone now is coming together and wanting to collaborate. Everyone realizes that there's enough food for everyone to kind of eat, right? There's only one particular promotion where we haven't seen them collaborate yet in PBC. How do you think they get involved, or maybe you being an American kind of understand what's going on with PBC at the moment? It doesn't seem like they're doing too well with the Amazon deal. I mean, they do have a really exciting card coming up this Saturday. How do you see things panning out for them?
You know, I don't know. I really don't have a good answer to that question. PBC's always operated a little bit behind the veil. They never, everybody like says, oh, they're done, it's over. And then they always, you know, Mr. Heyman always finds a way to stick around. I don't know why he wouldn't want to get involved with the Saudi stuff. I mean, there's plenty to go around. There's no, and if you don't, then you're putting yourself kind of even more on the island. So, I mean, I've met the guy and talked to the guy like 3 times ever. So I don't know where his head is at with it, but they got fighters. I would love to see these guys go to Saudi. I hope that moves are being made to make contact. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there are, and there have been efforts made to connect the right people. But yeah, I don't know. You hear rumors about the Amazon thing. I certainly have, and I don't know if it's got a bright future. Great card again on Saturday, but that first one was so bad. I mean, I mean, like, and I don't know. I mean, people can get turned. A company like Amazon can get turned off very quickly and say, "No, to hell with this." Like, you know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as someone that's more than just a manager, but clearly someone that's a boxing purist that grew up around boxing. I'd like to actually ask you about your prediction for this week with the 2 big fights. How do you think things go?
Oh man, I think Benavidez wins. I'm very high on him. It's hard to pick against Tank, but Martin's no joke. I mean, to make it easy, I picked Tank. But he's must see boxing here. He's, you know, he's one of the few guys. You guys. One thing you guys always do better is even if you have like kind of a maybe just slightly better than mediocre fighter, people will buy tickets to go see this guy fight live at all the different cool venues you guys have. In the U.S., a top fighter struggles to sell tickets and struggles to put butts in seats sometimes. Tank is one of the guys that has broken through. He gets attention. He gets people into the arenas, and so I have to respect his team and everybody behind him for that. But I'm looking for Tank to spark out Martin. We'll see.
I hope he does, because I see Shakur beating him, and I need to see that. I need it to be Shakur that takes that O. But in saying that, though,
I agree with you. Shakur, I don't think anybody's beating Shakur. A good Shakur, a proper like Shakur. I don't see who's beating him.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. But I was gonna say, obviously you're managing Zhang. Are there any other fighters that you're looking at that on the grassroots that maybe we can keep an eye on and we can follow their careers?
Well, so many of them all of them are in China now. I'm partnering up with another promotion in China, and they've got some fighters that actually have been world champions. So they've had to travel around and fight elsewhere. I don't like Zucan is one. He was a WBA champion, very fun fighter to watch. There's some up and comers, but they're in China. And I also Meng Fanlong, who's I think the real talent in China. He went back to the amateur system. I'm trying to talk him out of that. He was a top light heavyweight. His only loss was to Jean Pascal, which I think he got robbed in that fight. But I represent him as well when he does decide to go back to the pro ranks. But really, just with everything happening in China, it's new and there's so much opportunity, and it feels so good to be on like kind of the ground floor there that I've been putting like kind of all my eggs in that basket, so to speak. But I think that's the right move. So as they start to emerge, you'll hear more about them. We'll talk about them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, because when you look at how China tackle the Olympics and just sports in general, they have such a good culture with that type of thing. And I could see so many good Chinese boxers coming out from the country. So me personally, I think you've made a terrific move, and it's an exciting one as well to see more of these fighters come into the sport,
Gosh, a couple more elite guys from China. Then look at the history with Korea, the Philippines, and Japan right now is killing it in weight. It's boxing. The one thing I love is that it is truly a global sport. Walk into any gym and you're going to have guys from all over, and I just love that aspect. But China's kind of been off the map, and now that's no longer.
I believe if China can get a guy as good as Inoue,
oh man,
it's gonna be 10 times crazier than what we're seeing right now in terms of promotion.
Yeah. Well, let's just make sure he signs with me, though, guys.
Well, I was gonna say, let's hope so. But it might be a lot harder to get you on the podcast.
Oh no, I'm always here for you guys, man. You guys are here from the jump. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. No, very, very exciting times, most definitely.
Definitely.
So with
what do you guys think about it? Can I ask you a question? Okay. I might have to come out for Joyce Chisora, man. It sounds like so much damn fun, man.
Yeah. I call that the CTE Super Bowl.
That's basically like two drunkards, just like throwing handbags. It's literally like
look. It was less than a year ago that Joyce was the favorite against Zhilei in the rematch because the granite chin. Like, I mean, look. Yeah. I just think it's a fun fight. So we might have to have beers or something if I make it out there.
It's gonna be a fun fight. It's gonna be absolutely
for the wrong reasons.
It's gonna be chaos. But even like I disappointed myself. So the Zhilei versus Joyce fight, the first fight, I bought into the Joyce hype. I was like, yeah, this guy, because I knew Zhilei's gonna land on him. I knew all these things, but then I was thinking, the Hrgovic fight, he got tired. I'm like, Joyce is gonna take him late. I just believed that. But
Zhang was 6-1 versus Joyce. That's how far they had him.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I think I saw it up to 8-1. We got it even up to 8-1. Like I mean, we
6-1. I got 6-1.
I think someone in the chat said Zhang was gonna win. I don't know who said it in our chat. Oh yeah, it was Mark. Because I could have, and then when it
give this guy a medal, man.
and then it's like when he cracked Joyce and he just saw Joyce's eyes just open. I was like, oh, he's in big trouble. And it was the first.
Wait, like I mean, if we're looking though, like if I'm looking at just the box rec of Joyce, he's had some wins that have aged very well. Yeah. I mean, Parker. Did he beat Dubois?
Yeah.
Wait, he beat Dubois. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, look at where we're at now. I mean, like I look, if Joe wins impressively, he could find himself kind of back in the mix here. I mean, some guys cannot recover from the types of beatings that he took from Zhang, but he's got the Cash Ali win. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, I'm just looking forward to it. It's a ham and egger fight, as we would say here, but I don't know.
No, definitely, it's exciting. Yeah, very exciting.
Who you picking for that fight? You didn't say
me.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to pick Joe because it makes our win even age better.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, 100%.
I backed him out of nowhere. I just saw like the press conference. Yeah, Joe Joyce and Derek just saw.
The O2. I mean, it's not the Copper Box. I mean, it's proper venue. Like
it's gonna sell out. Like Derek has always got a big following here, and Joe Joyce is a household name. It's going to sell out. And if Joyce wins, he's right back in the mix, straight back in the mix. So the incentives there, like it's gonna be a great fight. We might even end up going to watch it. So
yeah, like I said, I might head over to the UK if I see you guys there. I see you guys there, but I mean, I just want to be ringside for that.
Yeah, no, definitely, it is a very exciting watch. What besides that fight? What other fights are exciting you? It seems like we don't have much scheduled fights left, but I'm sure Saudi are going to start announcing new fights left, right, and center very soon.
I know they're getting started back in Riyadh in October. I mean, it's kind of just basically they said it's almost too hot. You know, they're doing a UFC event in a week or so, I think, but then they're kind of shutting it down until October when it's like livable. But look, Bud Crawford, I was at the Spence fight. You know, I love Bud. I think Bud is such a great fighter to watch. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing what happens with him and the Saudis after that, because obviously it's no secret that they want to make Canelo Bud just be massive. But they're looking in Riyadh October, November, and then they obviously have December kind of locked in. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Dubois. I think he's really just he kind of flourished recently. I'd love to see that. I'm assuming they get the fight across the finish line with AJ. I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, it's just been a great year. But I guess I'm the one I'm looking the most forward to. I know nothing about, which is the next fight for Zhilei Zhang. I just don't know when or where or who. But that's consuming my life for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get the Parker fight. But I want to ask you, who have you got, Bivol or Beterbiev?
God, people get so mad. Listen, I had before who was the name of the guy you fought in Riyadh on the same
Zinad?
So yeah, I before that fight I kind of like Bivol. But like then after that fight, there were some things I didn't like in the fight. Then I might have to switch my pick to Beterbiev. It's a tough one to pick. I mean, everybody thinks I'm nuts for ever thinking Bivol, but I don't know. I mean, we bet on a Bivol. Yeah, look, it's a great fight. Wait, does that have a date? Oh, that's October. October 12 or something like that. Yeah. I forgot about that one. That one definitely. What else is going on in the UK? I mean, the big one is the Wembley fight. I mean, that's the big.
That's the big one, yeah. I mean, if
we've got this weekend, we've got Riakpo and Chris Billam-Smith.
That's a world title fight, yeah.
World title fight, but the cruiserweight.
Is that Ireland or where's that at?
That's in the UK. That's in
London.
In London.
Yeah,
the profiles isn't there yet, so it's boxer promotion. But yeah, it's a cruiserweight division, so hopefully they fight the world title fight. The winner might mix it with Jai Opataya. So
they're even saying,
okay.
They're even saying the winner might get onto the September card.
Yeah, the winner might get onto the September card, so you already know. So that versus Jai, that would be a big fight, big fight. That's September.
What is the date? Yeah, that I heard like all sorts of ideas for that one. I don't think they include us, but what is the one that you just told me about? When does that fight?
Saturday.
Saturday.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it sucks for you guys because you got that, but then like what's the move? Do you stay up to watch Tank, or do you like go to sleep for 3 hours and then?
So what I do is I'll watch the obviously the CB at the Chris Billam Smith fight, then I'll nap for like 3 hours, set an alarm, boom, wake up at like 3 a.m. knowing the main event will be about 4-5 o'clock. So I could and I'm because I'm trying to watch the Vostok fight, so I don't want to miss that. So I need to time it in a way where I don't miss that fight. And then I'm
gonna wait because there's no way I'm missing that fight at all. I think the first thing we disagree on, Terry, is I think Vozdik's actually gonna beat Benavidez. So
I agree.
Okay.
Oh yeah. If you didn't know, Terry, our resident Eastern European boxing fan is Adam. If they're Eastern European, if they're from
I love
you like
he loves it. If they're from Ukraine, Russia, Poland, Adam's there, man.
Adam's boxing them. Yeah, no,
they can't lose.
Yeah,
they can't lose if they're from the former Soviet bloc. Got it. Well, guys, I mean, it's again, it's a great card. I don't know. We'll see what kind of like happens with PBC after this show. I mean, but gosh, Benavidez, I think there's so much out there for him. But like, I mean, I don't know because he wants to fight Canelo. I don't think Canelo's going to ever do it. Canelo's going to have the opportunities in Saudi. I don't know. We'll see.
No, definitely. Terry, if you could make one fight happen, your dream matchup right now in boxing, what would it be as a boxing purist?
Oh,
that's
not Zhang Zhilei versus Anthony Joshua for all the belts.
Well,
okay, that's
one. Yeah.
It could be that. Listen, rematch from the Olympics. Why not?
Hey, there's a narrative built in there. I mean, and Joshua had him down. I mean, there's a narrative built in. But like, I don't know. Like, it's just they don't want to do it. We've had this talk before. They just don't want to do it. But maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Other than that. I do. Gosh, it's oh man. Inoue versus somebody, but like I don't know how high Inoue's like ceiling is for like. I mean, could Tank go down to 30? And I don't know, like Inoue. I mean, like something like that. Canelo and Bud, I think would be amazing. Gosh, I feel like I'm forgetting obvious ones, but like those are the two that pop in my head. What about you guys?
Boy, I would love to see Tank versus Shakur, as I've already said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would love to see Tank not doing this. I'm navigating through because I think it's an exciting fighter. I get called a Tank hater, or whatever, but I'm just not. I just think he's so talented that I just don't like that he's not fought like Lomachenko. He's not fought the guys of his division, which I feel like he could beat. Because he hits harder than everyone. He has shot his reflexes is as sharp as everyone. So, but yeah, apart from that, I would love to see a lot of the fights that I wanted to see are starting to happen. Inoue keep coming up the weights. I don't think Inoue Shakur will happen. Inoue Tank. I just feel like that's a climb too much. But
it's a little too much, yeah.
Yeah, but just like Terence going to fight at 168. If Inoue wants to do it, I'm not going to say no. So if Terence wants to fight Crawford, if that happens, I have Canelo winning. Not because I feel like Bud is a better boxer than Bud. I just feel like when Canelo explodes, he explodes. It's like it's sudden, and Terence gets hit. Although Terence is a brilliant, in my opinion, the best fighter since Floyd. Easily, he is on that level, on that ilk. But just like swimming in boxing, you will get hit. And if he's going to fight a 168, I know Canelo's got shorter arms. He's slightly, but they're about the same height. Terence can keep him off for a while, but you're 168. Your legs are gonna get heavier. It's gonna go late, and I just feel like Canelo will explode on him, and it will eventually tell. That's how I see that fight. I would love to see that fight. So these sort of But I'm just happy that we're getting the undisputed fights. I just want to see more undisputed fights. I want to see, like what happened to the middleweight division. I would like to see it come alive. With Hamza Shiraz is coming through now with Beck. So hopefully them guys fight 154 again, as you see with Buds now in there and Boots. Like a lot of the fights I want, they're happening. So yeah.
I gotta speak the praises of Hamza. Like, first of all, seeing him in person, he's a massive middleweight. Like, and when he's working off the jab, I mean, like he's gonna be tough to beat. It just popped in my head though, because we don't know how high Inoue's ceiling is. But let's say he can go to 26. What about Nick Ball? I like. You know what, I mean, that won't be boring. That won't be boring. Yeah. Like, I mean,
you might as well have that in a phone booth because no one's stepping back.
Yeah. No, I've actually always thought about that fight. Yeah, I think it's doable personally. I mean, apparently Inoue walks around at around 134, so I don't see why he can't go up to 126.
He definitely can.
I don't see why not. He should try it. I don't know what discussions he and his team have or what they're eyeballing at 22. Or I think he can slide back to 18. Like he can do that, but he's such a special fighter that we do want to see and we need to know when is it too big for him. But I mean, that's for him and his team to decide.
Listen, I like that you said that because when I say that in our chat, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm putting too much expectations on fighters." Because I said I want. When I know a guy is special, I want to know what your limit is. Lomachenko, we found out his limit is 135. I want to know what Inoue's limit is. I personally think it's 126. Maybe featherweight. Maybe super featherweight. Maybe around there. But
maybe the right guy at 30. The right guy at 30. Yeah.
I don't know, but I would like to see it. But then when I said that about Lomachenko before, before he went to 135, I was like, if he cleans that 135. I'd like to see him go to 140. Guys in the chat were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, but 140 is crazy.
I'm just saying.
But look at his frame. Look at his frame.
I know he's small. I know it's the same way I know Inoue is small. I know. I'm just saying, if they can do it, it's just proving greatness. That's all it is. I just want to know where your limit is. Where is your ceiling? That's all.
See, Jad, he's a crook because if he somehow wins a belt at that specific way, it would be like, how did you get the belt? Who did you fight to get the belt? So you're a crook.
No, it matters who you beat matters. Who you beat matters. But if you do it, that's amazing. Then no one's calling Adrian Broner an all-time great for being a 4-weight champion because no disrespect, he didn't beat anyone. He really didn't beat anyone. He's a 4-weight champion that no one really like. Yeah. But then if you look at Inoue, 4-weight champion, he's got the name is completely different. It's levels.
I mean, these are the nuanced conversations that keep this business going.
Yeah.
Everything has context. Level of opponent. Everything has context. But I mean, there's, like you said, it's like we've all said over the past few minutes, that like the fights we want to see are getting made. So it's a great thing. We'll just have to see who's right and who looks like an absolute fool. I usually pick wrong, so I'm usually the fool here. But we'll have to circle back and see.
I just start sharing my picks because I feel like I've been on a good run. But the 5v5, I did quite bad. I did quite bad in the 5v5.
I think we all did with the 5v5.
Yeah, I did really bad.
We all sucked.
Yeah.
I had Hrgovic. Again, we were in the back in the locker room jumping up and down with it on this TV. We watched every single fight, and it was like, we have to get ready. Wait, do we have to warm up? That we were so into watching everything. It was almost like we weren't even fighting. It was kind of weird, actually. But yeah, we were into it. But I had a couple of those fights very wrong.
Yeah, no, I think we all did. Do you know what? Funny enough, that Hrgovic fight, maybe I'm the only one. I think that's a fight where he lost more than Dubois won. I feel like he kind of gassed out as well at the end. At first, he was winning quite a lot of the rounds, in my opinion.
He was throwing a lot of punches, but he emptied out his gas tank.
way too quickly. Yeah, I think he underestimated Dubois because of previous sparring.
He didn't respect Dubois.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think Hrgović is. I love everybody in boxing, but I think he's an arrogant fucking prick, and I think he has had everything handed to him.
Yeah.
He was an elite amateur, and then he went to that like hybrid thing, World Series of Boxing, whatever, and he did really well there. And he just thinks this guy thinks the world owes him a living. Like he and his team have this just arrogant like aura about them. And I'm not the only one. I'm only one saying this publicly. Every conversation I have with anybody else in boxing is the same thing. He just walks in there thinking he's going to get his hand raised. Like he told, like before we fought, there was some sort of glove issue. It was nothing. But he was like, I'm going to kill this guy. And he was like looking at Zhilei. We're like, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, like, do you see this man here? And I just think he thought he was going to walk through, a Daniel Dubois, like foreign water through a tourist. And it was just going to be like an easy night for him. And like, when you have that mentality and then there's a guy coming at you throwing big hard punches, then you have no backup plan because you just think everything is going to be handed to you. Hrgović has no fans. No one cares about him.
Yeah.
He's burned a lot of bridges in boxing. I don't think you're going to see a lot of him. Like, and he was right there to be the IBF champion, right there, and he just blew it because he's just a prick. And sometimes that's just how it goes.
That's just how it goes. Yeah,
he's a front runner. I think he's a front runner. Like and I've always said he's got okay power. Like every heavyweight can hit hard, right? But he doesn't really hurt people. He only hurts him when he hits him in the back of the head, which is why during the Dubois fight, when Dubois was getting away with a few headbutts, I was like, I don't mind.
He was using it liberally. Using it liberally.
I was like, I don't mind it because I've seen Hrgović hit people in the back of the head. It's a fight. Yeah. So if people are gonna get dirty, sometimes if you can't take it, you can't dish it. So
I reckon still to this day, Hrgović probably feels like he shouldn't have lost, or he probably feels he's a better man. I think he's got this, like Terry said, I think he's got this sort of like
it's a complex
about him. Yeah, like I feel like he feels like, I bet you now to this day he probably feels like he shouldn't have lost.
Yeah, I do feel like every elite fighter should have a bit of ego about them. I do feel like, not to that extent, but you should feel like,
I would say just look at his interviews. Like I don't take it from me, right? Like, but like just look at his interviews and kind of like there. It's one thing to have a chip on your shoulder and have a good ego and like, but it's also like I just, this guy and his team think that, just like, just automatic that he's just going to be this champion, and it doesn't matter who you fight, he's going to blow everybody away, and like it just, look, maybe this, if I'm talking to Filip Hrgović, take this as a learning experience, really do some soul searching. Is this what you want to do? Because you're going about it all wrong. And like either turn this around or like, look, you've got to take a huge dose of humility here. Be humble, a little more humble, and then get back to work. But I mean, gosh, I just, the way he's conducted himself over the past few years, just, I don't, like, it's just not my style. And I think I saw it happening in the fight though. And it's just like, well, what's happening here? I'm getting beat. Oh my God. Zhilei sent him to the hospital, and I mean, he definitely had to go had to go to the hospital after this fight. He was battered. I mean, he was cut up badly.
Yeah. He did say he would retire if he lost us, didn't
he? Fine by me. Fine by me. Just go away.
His words.
Yeah, no, he said that. I want to hold him to it. I mean,
he's never retiring.
I don't know. I mean, looking back at it, I actually said after as well, I think the biggest loser of the whole night and the person that had the most to lose was Filip Hrgović.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He had that potential IBF fight with Anthony Joshua in the pipeline in the future, where he had real opportunity to make very big money. He's lost that. He's come up against a good opponent who isn't at that top level yet. I know Dubois could go on, and he's lost to him as well. And it's just going to be a loss that ages very badly for him and his career. And it's a case of, where does he go from here? Really, do the Saudis keep him on board and give him more fights?
I don't think so.
Or is he going to be? Is he going to be used as a fighter to kind of bring up the next heavyweight.
Well, see, he could do that. He could take a rest of that, but he doesn't see himself as an opponent. Like he doesn't. So like I don't know. I mean, look. Again, I know I talked a little smack, but like really, if I were talking to the man and he had something in him where he wants to keep boxing, he's got to do some soul searching here. Maybe make some changes on the representation side and the train. I like something's going on there where maybe you have too many yes men around you, or you're just too used to being told yes or getting everything handed to you. But you really got to do some soul searching here and see. I mean, like, but if he does retire, I feel bad for the dozens and dozens of his fans in Croatia, because I mean, gosh, what a boxing hotbed that is. Just no one cares about him. No one cares, and he. I don't know.
He's brilliant, man.
I'm not going to Dubrovnik anytime soon, so I can say that.
This might be the best segment of the podcast today so far.
Easily. Well, I love it because I've been like there's been some Hrgovic evangelists, and I'm like, I see what he's good at, I see the stuff that he can do, but he's just not what you guys think he is. And yeah, the bar showed.
And Croatia's not Eastern Europe, though, right? So like that's why you're speaking the truth now.
I don't know on the train. You see, I don't know on the train.
They weren't part of Soviet Russia, so. I mean, when you look,
that's
back,
Western Europe, baby.
When you look back in hindsight, that class of the Olympic champions haven't had the best of careers now. When you look at it, I mean,
it's him, Joyce, and you.
Joyce and Tony Yoka, who he was completely fallen, and that's a very big disappointment for the boxing world, because everyone was really excited for Yoka, especially.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it could have just been like kind of a bad batch, for lack of a better expression. I mean, God, Yoka. I mean, that was a guy that we kind of had our eye on as an opponent, but obviously things went in completely different directions for our respective Joy's career and his career. So,
yeah, I mean,
really took his soul.
Yeah, never recovered from that. Would you guys take the Dubois fight if it got presented to you?
Actually, I think we would. I mean, it was funny when our contract was up with Matchroom. And, again, context: we just beat Hrgovic, but didn't get our hand raised in August, and we were free agents. We were taking meetings with everybody. Top Rank, who I'm close with, put me in touch with the Warrens. I flew to London. Me and my brother flew to London. Sat down with George, and he said, "Joyce or Dubois? Like, which guy would you want?" And like, we went back, and then at the time, Joe Joyce was an unbeatable man. Think about that. And Sean George, to his credit, was like, "Oh no, Joyce, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that." We're like, "Are you come again? Are you sure?" And that's how that happened. But I mean, at the time, both were. Look, Queensberry had a lot of heavyweights. He had Fury, Dubois, Joyce, and it was like, yeah, these are good partners to work with where Zhilei's at in his career. And this is way before any of the Saudi stuff. But it was actually right before the second Joe Joyce fight that we had a meeting with George Warren. He was like, there's some stuff that's pretty interesting happening over in the Middle East. We'll talk about it later. And that's when I kind of first learned about all this amazing, crazy stuff that was going on. And that was, less than a year ago.
Yeah. Crazy how things have moved so far since then.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Fury, you got winning the rematch?
It's hard to. I had Fury. I had Fury winning, but I'm gonna have to flip and think it's gonna be a repeat.
Good man, Ukrainian.
Slava, Ukraina. How do they say it? Absolutely. Oh man.
Weird question. Who do you think stylistically would be the toughest fight for Zhang right now?
Usyk.
Stylistically, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I could get into why, but I'm not going to do that right now. But,
of course, no. I wouldn't even ask. I mean, personally, I agree. Not because he's Ukrainian, but I think
I just think he's just a bad style matchup for any big heavyweight. I think if you're going to beat Usyk, you need to be a smaller heavyweight. You can match his cardio, and you can hit as hard as him, and you can also match his IQ. That's a lot to say. That's a lot to have. I feel like the bigger heavyweights, you have like someone like Fury, you can match his high IQ, but you just can't match his work rate. And then you have someone like Joshua, who might not be as savvy as Usyk, but he hits really hard. However, he can't discourage him because Usyk's got a granite chin himself. So it's like you need. I don't feel like the big heavy. I feel like Usyk's just a kryptonite for. If you're a big heavyweight, he's a kryptonite for you because of just the way he is. To beat him, I feel you need to be a 6'4", 6'5" kind of heavyweight, maybe, and you can just match his work rate. So a Jai Opetaia is like 6'2".
I was just gonna say something like Greatest.
Yeah, yes. Like Bradis gave him his hardest fight, in my opinion. Although he said it was Fury, personally, I thought it was Bradis. I feel like you need to be that kind of guy.
Not Bukoli, no.
Nah, I still feel like Bukoli feels like he beats everyone in sparring, but I feel like Usyk beats him again. It's just, it's the work rate, man. These guys can't keep up.
You get into the. I mean, he's this business to become world champion, so you're not going to turn down the fight. But like, I mean, just to get the right sparring, like, who do you get to spar if you're fighting Alexander Usyk? I mean, it's not like I just ask Alexander to come into camp. I mean, because no one is so good. It's just hard to find the guy that's the right size. Like, it still has the footwork, and it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, he, like you said, he's tricky for any big heavyweight.
Yeah.
Very tricky.
Is there like a fighter, that you thought you could have beaten at the time that like got away, that's gone on to do like great things? That's obviously like hasn't been, that was presented to you.
Oh, like to represent. There's a kid who's a Golden Boy now who I almost worked with. Ricardo Sandoval. He's a little guy, but man, he's just a little Mexican guy from like San Diego who just fights his ass off, and I love this style. But he's just, I feel bad for him because every time he gets an opportunity to fight on a big Golden Boy show, like there's an injury with the opponent or the guy falls out, and he's not really on anybody's radar there. But like that's one guy that I kind of wish didn't get away. But Ricardo Sandoval, I think he's like a 22-pounder, really great fighter. So I hope we are talking about him in some other way, maybe in a year's time, 2 years' time.
Hopefully, yeah. That's someone I'm going to make a note of, most definitely. Most definitely. Yeah, but I think we'll probably end the pod there because Zhilei has to change out of his work clothes. But honestly, I think it's been a terrific conversation so far. Terry, you've been absolutely amazing. Been very sincere. Loved how you went off at Hrgovic as well. Shows that you held nothing back. And yeah, no, it's been amazing. So once again, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you guys. I'm happy to do it, and we'll do it again. And I guess just stay tuned. Stay in tune with what's going on with Zhang. We'll see.
Most definitely. And yeah, if you come to the Chisora Joyce fight, give us a shout. Hopefully we could.
We'll do.
Yeah,
we'll do.
Sounds amazing. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode. If you guys enjoyed the pod, please like, share, subscribe, and all of that stuff. Follow us on Ringside Fracas. And yeah, we're just trying to put as much great boxing content and discussion out there as possible. So please join us on the journey. We're only getting started. The Saudis are making it a lot easier for us as well with so many good fights coming up. So things are only going to get better. Join us. And once again, thank you guys all for joining. And we'll catch you next week. Take care now.
Hey, thanks, guys. Take care.